Good morning, students. Let us continue with your beehive. Lesson number 9, The Bond of Love by Kenneth Anderson. Open to your book, page number 115. Yesterday we have seen that 8th paragraph, that first accident. You remember, at least 2-3 times accident will take place. In the first accident, what had happened? He has consumed the rat poison, that is barium carbonate, which the author had kept it in the library to kill the rats and mice. By chance it has eaten, and now the effect was what? He got paralysis, could not move, but then he dragged himself to his wife, and his wife called him, and he quickly put him into the car and he moved to vet's residence. I told you yesterday what is vet's residence, short form of veteran. Veterans are the doctors who treat animals. So to his house he took, and he immediately started telling a case of poisoning. There is a case of poisoning, tame bear. It's a tame bear. It's not wild. Okay, barium carbonate. Barium carbonate. He has taken. What to do? He is telling to the doctor. Open your book now to page number 115. Yes, 9th paragraph. Out came his medical books, and a feverish reference to index began. What poison did you say, sir? Barium carbonate. Ah, yes. BA, barium, salts. Ah, barium carbonate. Symptoms: paralysis. Treatment: injections of. Just a minute, sir. I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. A dash back to the car. Bruno still floundering about on his stumps, but clearly weakening rapidly. Some vomiting, heavy breathing, with heaving flanks and gaping mouth. You see, this doctor, when he came to know, probably it was the first case swallowing this, what we call it, barium carbonate, and so he took the medical books and started searching. Feverish reference to index. Feverish index reference meaning what here? Just slowly he started searching in the index of this book, medical books, first of all, so thick it will be. Started searching. And again he's asking, what poison did you say, sir? You say? And barium carbonate. He has to see under B. Okay? Barium carbonate. Remember, dictionary, if you know how to search B, then after that you have to see in BA, then R, then comes barium salts. Then he says symptoms, paralysis. And the treatment, injections of, he's reading, just he's reading, and he found it. And so he's saying, sir, I'll bring my syringe and the medicine. So at last he found, and he is ready to go and bring the medicine and syringe. And meantime, what he did, the author dashed back to the car. He ran to the car, and Bruno was in the car still. Bruno was still floundering. Floundering here means struggling to move. Okay, on his thumbs, on his leg. But it was very clear that Bruno was getting weaker and weaker very rapidly. Weakening means becoming weak rapidly, very fast. Quickly, Bruno was becoming weak. Also, he was vomiting, vomiting and heavy breathing, can't breathe properly, with heaving flanks and gaping mouth. He was just throwing himself, restless, with open mouth. Because when you cannot breathe, what happens? We have to breathe through the mouth. If you cannot breathe through the nose, same thing happened to him. Gaping mouth, open mouth. He was taking breath from his mouth. 10th. Hold him, everybody. In goes the hypodermic. Bruno squells. 10 cc of the antidote enters his system without a drop being wasted. 10 minutes later, condition unchanged. Another 10 cc injected. 10 minutes later, breathing less tyrannous. Less stertorous. Bruno can move his arms and legs a little, although he cannot stand yet. 30 minutes later, Bruno gets up and has a great feat. He looks at us disdainfully, as much as to say, what's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me? Bruno is still eating. Now they are panic. They are nervous, telling, hold him, everybody, because they have to inject him. And so the people, one, two persons, not enough to hold a wild animal. And then the doctor puts the injection. In goes the hypodermic. Hypodermic is a long needle used to give an injection under the skin. And Bruno squells. Squells means screams, cries. Bruno start crying. 10 cc of antidote. 10 cc is nothing but that is the measuring of the medicine. Okay, that is the full form of cc is cubic capacity or cubic centimeter, we call it. That much amount of medicine. The antidote enters his system without drop being wasted, because he was so obedient animal and they are holding, so many of them are holding him tight, and therefore not a drop wasted, and the injection, everything went inside. But then 10 minutes later, condition remained the same, no change. And then what happened? Breathing less, for first 10 minutes, there was no change in his condition. Therefore, after 10 minutes, another 10 cc injected. And then after 10 minutes later, breathing less stertorous. Stertorous here meaning, he was struggling to breathe. Now it is less struggle. He could breathe easily. That is called stertorous. Bruno can now move his arms and legs a little, though cannot stand yet. After 20 minutes also, it cannot stand, but less pain probably, and then he could move the arms and legs. 30 minutes later, you see, after half an hour, Bruno gets up and has a great feed. He eats a lot, great feed, okay. He looks at us disdainfully. Disdainfully means without any respect, you see, taken them for granted, as if to say what? What's barium carbonate to a big black bear like me? Meaning to say, the way he looked at them is that I am so big. This barium carbonate is nothing for me. Okay, that was the attitude, the way he looked at them disdainfully. Okay, Bruno is still eating. 11th. Another time he found nearly 1 gallon of old engine oil, which I had drained from the sump of the Studebaker and was keeping as a weapon against the inroads of termites. He promptly drank the lot, but it had no ill effects, however. Second accident, you see, what happened this time? He drank 1 gallon of old engine oil. 1 gallon would be some 4 to 5 liters. Old engine oil which he had drained from sump of the Studebaker. Studebaker here is an old American car, and sump is a container where the engine oil was kept. Okay, that the container is the sump, and it was kept for what purpose? To kill these termites. In roads mean these termites are making roads in the garage probably, and that's why he had kept this engine oil to kill these termites. And what he did, he promptly drank the lot. Full thing he drank, 1 gallon. But it had no ill effects whatever. Did not have any reaction. That's why he feels proud that he is such a big bear. What it has to do with this barium carbonate? So same thing, even the engine oil, nothing happened to him. 12th paragraph. The months rolled on, and Bruno had grown many times the size he was when he came. Naturally, it had grown very fast because eating everything. And so it grew up very fast. He had equaled the Alsatians in height and had even outgrown them. Alsatian, big, huge dogs they had. It has equal to them, that much height, and even outgrown them. Outgrown them means even grown bigger than them. That is called outgrown. But was just as sweet, just as mischievous, just as playful. But remained as a small animal only, very playful, very sweet, and very mischievous, very naughty. And he was very fond of us all. Understood, they are taking care, giving food, so he was very fond of them. Above all, he loved my wife, and she loved him too. They became very attached to each other. She had changed his name from Bruno to Baba, a Hindustani word signifying small boy. You see, she loved him so much so that First he christened him, you remember, christened him, named him Bruno. Now she became so fond of him that she changed his name from Bruno to Baba. Baba means small boy. And he could do a few tricks too. Imagine he learned tricks also. Let us see what are the tricks he will do. You have the question there now. What are the tricks Bruno could perform? At the command, Baba, wrestle. Wrestle means fight. Or Baba, box. If you give this command, he vigorously tackled anyone who came forward for a rough and tumble. You see, if somebody comes with him to fight, and the household people, if they give him the command, Baba, fight or wrestle, what will do? He would tackle vigorously, very furiously. He would fight with the opposite one, and then that person will be tumble, will fall down. Tumble is to fall. He would be winner. He will defeat anyone. Give him a stick and say, Baba, hold a gun. One stick you give, and just you say, hold the gun, how you will hold the gun. And he pointed the stick at you. You see, like as if pointing the gun at you. And ask him, Baba, where's baby? Just for a fun you will ask, Baba, where is the baby? And he immediately produced and cradled affectionately a stump of wood which he had carefully concealed in his straw bed. But because of the tenant's children, poor Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. You see, so many tricks he could do. You see, he could fight, he could wrestle, he could, as if holding a gun, he would he would point the gun at you. If somebody says, where is Baba? He will take the, what he was doing for Baba. He would produce immediately and cradle. Cradle is to just shake, how the mother will cradle the baby. Same thing, she will take on his lap, the affectionately stump of wood. One wood he would take, and which he had carefully concealed. Concealed means hidden. He has hidden this stump of wood, on his straw bed, the bed, and nobody will ask, where is the Baba? He would go and bring this stump, this stick to show. But then, that much affectionate this Bruno was, but because of the tenant's children, those flats, those children were there, Bruno or Baba had to be kept chained most of the time. Could not be left free because now it was big, huge. When he was small, of course it was free, but then when it became big, he had to be chained most of the time because of the children. 13th paragraph. Then my son and I advised my wife and friends, advised her to give Baba to the zoo at Mysore. Because now it was very big, and so naturally son and father, both of them, they advised the wife better to give it to the zoo. Even his friends also advised her. He was getting too big to keep at home. You have the reason why they advised her to keep the Baba at the zoo, because it was too big. Then accordingly you have to feed him also, no? It was very difficult. After some weeks of such advice, she at last consented. Consented means he agreed. She agreed. After some weeks, so many people are advising, and so at last she agreed. Hastily, and before she could change her mind, a letter was written to the curator of the zoo. Did he want a tame bear for his collection? He replied, yes. The zoo sent a cage from Mysore in a lorry, a distance of 87 miles, and Baba was packed off. You see, hastily means very quickly. When she agreed, because the friends and family members, they advised her to give this Baba to the zoo because it was becoming very huge and managing was becoming difficult, and she consented. Consented means she agreed. Now, before she could change her mind, immediately, hastily, very quickly, they wrote a letter to the curator of the zoo. Curator meaning person in charge of the zoo. Okay, you have their meaning there, person in charge of the zoo. What the letter was written? Whether he wanted a tame bear for his collection. Whether he wants a tame bear, and replied came yes. As not only yes, but you see, from the zoo, A lorry was also sent. Lorry is like a truck, open truck, no, to keep this Baba there. A distance of 87 miles from Bangalore to Mysore. From now the zoo from Mysore, it is coming to Bangalore. And Baba was packed off. Packed off means sent off. You have the meaning there, no, in the first. Packed off means sent off. 14th. We all missed him greatly. Everyone missed. Naturally, they had kept for a long time this Baba. Now they all missed him, but in a sense, we were relieved. Both. In a sense, relieved means thank God that at last Baba was gone because he was becoming very difficult to manage. My wife was inconsolable. Inconsolable means could not console her, could not make her forget. She couldn't forget. They all missed him, but one way relieved also. But then wife was inconsolable. She wept and fretted. You see, fretted means worried, unhappy. She cried. Wept means cry. Weeping is crying. Also she became unhappy. Could not forget him. For the first few weeks, she would not eat a thing. That much missing. You see, she was not eating anything. Then she wrote a number of letters to the curator. How was Baba? Back came the replies, well, but fretting. He refuses food too. You see, for the first weeks, those days no mobiles, and so she went on writing letters, so many letters. It's a number of letters she wrote to the curator, to the in charge of the zoo. How was Baba? Only that much to ask. And the reply was also coming that Baba was fine, but then he was fretting. He was making fuss to eat. He was unhappy. Fretting here is unhappy. And Baba is refusing to eat food. He is not eating. And this side, this wife of this author also was not eating food. You understood? That much attached they were. 15th paragraph. After that, friends visiting Mysore were begged to make a point of going to the zoo and seeing how Baba was getting along. They reported that he was well but looked very thin and sad. All the keepers at the zoo said he was fretting. For 3 months I managed to restrain my wife from visiting Mysore. Then she said one day, I must see Baba. Either you take me by car or I will go myself by bus or train. So I took her by car. You see, now whoever was going to Mysore, the friends, they are visiting Mysore, the wife was begging them, requesting them to make a point, go to the zoo and please visit this Baba, how Baba was getting along, how the Baba was. And these friends, they would report that Baba was looking very thin and sad, was very sad. Also, all the keepers at the zoo said that he was fretting, he was unhappy, he was worried. Okay, he was not eating. Imagine, very thin and very sad. And for 3 months, managed to restrain. Restrain means to stop the wife from visiting Mysore. Why he was restraining? Why he was stopping her from visiting? Because naturally, once if they again they will be, they are so fond of each other. She may tell him to bring him back home. That's why for 3 months they did not go. But then till 3 months, wife could not forget, could not adjust. And so one day she said at the end of 3 months, I must see Baba. I want to see Baba. So what is saying? Either you take me by car or I will go myself by bus or train. You see, if you are taking me or no, you see what a demand she made. If you are not taking me, then I am going by bus or by train. And so naturally, author got ready to take her by car. 16th paragraph. Friends had conjectured that the bear would not recognize her. Conjectured means they had told. Okay? They guessed that after 3 months, this bear will not recognize her. I had thought so too. But while she was yet some yards from his cage, Baba saw her and recognized her. He howled with happiness. She ran up to him, patted him through the bars, and he stood on his head in delight. You see in the picture in the next page, you will see here how they are visiting. Okay, you see there. Friends has conjectured, they have told that they are quite sure that Baba would not recognize her. And author also thought the same. After 3 months, after all, they are animals. you will not recognize. But while she was some yards from his cage, some few quite far away, Baba saw and recognized. And how he expressed that he recognized her? Because he howled with happiness. Howled means screamed. He made such a huge noise, that's called howling, with the happiness. And she ran up to him, patted him through the bars, and he stood on his head in delight. Can you imagine? He was so happy. He patted him through couldn't open the bars, they were not able to open. And so through the bars she patted him, and he also was delighted, very much happy. 17th, for the next 3 hours, she would not leave that cage. 3 hours, can you imagine? She gave him tea, lemonade, cakes, ice cream, and what not. Then closing time came, and we had to leave. My wife cried bitterly. Baba cried bitterly. Even the hardened curator. Sorry. Even the, even the hardened curator and the keepers felt depressed. As for me, I had reconciled myself to what I knew was going to happen next. See 17th paragraph. 3 hours she would not leave that cage. And what the food she gave? You see all his favorite tea, and then cakes and lemonade, ice cream, and what not. You see in the picture. You see, like one shop, she has kept everything and giving him to eat. Then the closing time, in the zoo there is a visiting time, no? There will be closing time. That means that time everybody has to leave the zoo. And that time everybody has to leave. And the wife, what happened? She cried bitterly because she did not want to leave. Baba also cried bitterly. And even the hardened curator, very, very strong, hard hearted curator, and the keepers, they also were sad. They felt depressed. Here means they were sad. And for the author, he says, as for me, I had reconciled myself. That means I accepted myself, what I knew it was going to happen next. He knew very well what was the next, what is going to happen. What would happen? I am sure even you will know by now what would happen. What would happen? Definitely she would tell to take him back. Sure. And this will happen. We will continue tomorrow in the next video. Okay. Thank you, students.